Hello friends, welcome back. Today we are going to recreate this shot in Blender and Nuke, and I'm going to use all the free assets, and I will also provide the renders and the project file. With that you can learn something new. Before I start this video, I want to say something first. Thanks a lot everyone. Last week my channel crossed 4,000 subscribers. I know this number sounds very less, but for me it's another step towards the success, so I'm really happy with that.
They love me.
So let's go and start it. First we'll download all the assets we need. I'll go to Sketchfab. I will search for Kong, and we have this element. This is really good for this shot. I'm going to download this as FX because it's not heavy. I think this is only 6 MB, so I'll just download it. And we will also search for helicopters. I will type Apache. This is really good model, and I'm going to use this one too. And download, and this time I'm going to download this as GLTF because FX is too heavy. So I think this is going to work here. Once I download the assets, I will bring them into Blender and check if the texture and everything is working fine, and if not I will just fix it, and then I'm going to use it for further steps. So I have this model here. In reference we don't see this armor on the character's hand, so I'm going to delete that one. First I will hide the fur, and then select the object and hit tab or edit and select all the vertices and press P in the keyboard and by loose parts. So we have separate parts for the character now, and I will just select the body, press H so you can hide that, and also I will select these extra parts from the mouth of the face and hit H so we can just hide them. Select all the armor and then delete, and then press Alt H. We get all the rest of the object back in the viewport. Now go to the lighting view and check the material or the textures for the shot, for the model. Let's bring in the shaders tab as well, and shaders. First we'll fix the fur. I think I will just hit this cross button and open it again and press the path, and I will select fur, open, and also for the normals just hit this and I'll bring that fur alpha. So now we have fur and fur alpha, but we need to do some little more fixes, like I don't want this much bright. I'll make it darker, somewhat like that. And if I take a close look from here, let's do a basic lighting first, like that, and we can see more. I'll take a color ramp, add it here, and slightly bring this white point still here so we can see these kind of fur. This is an image texture, so we see it like that. It's not actually fur, they have projected some images, which is really good for this kind of shot. I'll keep it somewhat like this. I will select the body this time and just hit this cross button, and I'll just bring the body texture, which is this show, and bring it Alt D and bring it here and connect with this to base color, and then this normal. I think this is going to be different one. Let's fix that too. Yeah, that's fine, but I'm going to, I think this is okay, this is normal. Yeah, that's okay, that's fine. Okay, so now texture is done for the shot. Like, it's a very basic simple texture they have assigned, and this is going to work for the shot because the character is mostly silhouette and we don't read any details, and I think this is going to work. So select everything and press Ctrl J to make it 1, and likewise we can bring the helicopter and make the texture fix. And same thing I did for the helicopter. I just brought it in and applied all the textures, and I did one more extra thing to that. Like, I kept this blade in separate control, and this one is separate control, and whole body is one, because when I do the animation I want to give some rotation to the blades, so we can do that easily. And I took an empty and applied this helicopter to that, so whenever we just move we have this like whole body is moving with that, and we also have the separate control for the blades. And the next thing is animating the character. I can use Mixamo for that. So I got this character into Mixamo and I will type in stand up. Okay, so we have this animation. Okay, this is good for this shot. I'm going to do some changes in the parameters. Like, first thing I will just override it, like I make it very slow. We can do it in Blender itself, but we can just see how it looks. And then the arm space, I'll just make it bit more so that we feel that character is bit angry or something like that with that arm space. I think this is roughly matching with the shot we have as a reference. I can download it now. I'll download it as FPX 30 FPS and just keep everything as is. So I brought that character into Blender again. the animated character, and we'll see what we can do. First thing, we need to set the scale. For the scale, I'm going to keep this character around, like just move this helicopter first. I don't want this into the scene. So I'll make it big enough to like roughly around 80 meters. So let's take a measure tool and see how big that will be. That will be super big. I'll just keep it up to like 80 or 81 meters. So select the model and just make it big. Go to the timeline, and yeah, we choose this frame where he is already standing, and then we can make the height. Maybe this is fine. So 80 meters is somewhere around here. So I'll keep it like that. So this is this height scale that I'm using, and the speed is too fast. Like I just want to make it a bit slow, but we'll see it with the camera. So next thing, I will bring in the camera first, and I'll just remove this helicopter this side. We don't want this to the scene yet. I'll just grab a camera. I'm going to keep it away from the character, like almost 700 meters, because I'm going to use long lens. So somewhere around this point, select the camera and bring it till here and check the measures again. Okay, not yet. Okay, somewhere around there, and I'll make the camera big so we see that camera. I'll just remove all the rotation and all, just make it 0 and make it 90, so we're facing towards the character, and now we can see from the camera. And since we have this focal length, I'm going to make it like super long lens, maybe 220 meters, and I'll also keep the resolution to 2K and then 900, so we have that cinematic crop and all, and 24 fps, and I will keep the last frame 300, and then select the camera and bring it up the frame. Like I will go to this frame where character is fully standing, I'll make it up somewhat like that. So we have this nice character into the frame. I already saw the reference like many times, and I know which frame the character should appear in the frame, and that should roughly match the reference. So I'll select this character, and first thing, I'll make it a bit slow because the timeline is very tight. I want to make it a bit slow. So I'll select all those keys, press S, and just move my mouse to make it a bit wider, like stretched keys, so we get our character a bit slower. Okay, we want this kind of speed, so I'm going to keep somewhat like this. And now the character is there in the frame since the beginning, so I'm going to make a little cheat here to make it go out of the frame. I'll go to the first frame, and here I'll just add a key in Z-axis, and I'll just move it out of the frame around here and just hit that key again, and I will bring this up around when he stands completely, and I'll move him in the screen, like in the frame, somewhat like that. And now when I go to first frame, I think this is out of frame, and then it will come into the frame, something like that, which is roughly matching the reference we have like in movie shot. Now I need to animate the helicopters. So animating helicopter is really very basic thing I did. So I'll go to the viewport, and I'll bring in that chopper. And for the chopper as well, we need to set the scale. Right now it's like very small, so we'll do the scaling first. So for the scaling, I'll bring in this character. For the scale, just I use this, like this is an actual human scale, 1.8 meters. So I'll just fix the scale according to that, bit bigger, and I think this is the scale we can keep. I think this is fine. This is like really rough scale, but I think this is okay. And now I don't want this character, let's delete it. I'll move it away from the camera, and I will make it 3D. Go to top view, and I'll just set to camera before this one. Let's make some colors. Yeah, that is good. And I'll bring him away from the camera. We don't want this like very close to the camera. And in reference, I saw that our helicopter should appear in the frame around frame 70 or 80, like between 70 to 80 our helicopter should appear in the camera. So let's go and see the direction. You can use that follow path method, but I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to keep like simple animation, a very basic one, and go to the timeline. and I will simply go to the first frame and hit Y, because we are going to move the helicopter in Y axis, and then go to the last frame and I will keep it somewhere around here and just Q key. Now it's not visible because we need to adjust the like height. Bring it here. Okay, so this is too fast. I can just adjust the speed. Let's play it. Okay, so we get that around 70 frame, but this is coming like really weird. We don't want exact straight from the camera, so we'll try to keep the like animation bit away. Maybe I need to fix some like tweak some x-axis, and now it should be fine. Okay, something like that. But now it's going around 100 frame. I want it like somewhere around 70 to 80 frame to cross the camera. So we'll just do one thing. I'll just grab it bit up and go to the graph editor and just select the helicopter, the y-axis, press home in the keyboard, and we'll get this key like graph. And now I can go to the frame 80, select this key, press Z, and just I can move my cursor. So around this frame this should appear, so that means it will be there in 80 frame maybe. Okay, that is something like that I want. And then height, I can simply, there is no key for the height, so we can adjust it anytime anywhere, so that is not going to be any issue. Let's play it again and see. Okay, something like that. I think this is going to work. And next thing, we can duplicate this helicopter and like add multiple things, but before that we need to animate the blades. I mean, we need to add some rotation to the helicopter blades. So adding the rotation is easy. Just go and select this XYZ, and this is the Z rotation. I'll just type in hash frame, hash frame, and this will be rotating now. And same thing we can do to that backside blade as well, like this one. So we selected this, we'll just make it XYZ, and we'll apply the rotation because now it's like weird values. Control A and apply rotation, so we'll get everything 0, and then I can just rotate the Y values. I'll simply type in frame here as well, and then we have this rotation in the like in that blade as well. That's really quick and easy. I'm going to keep just like that. And next thing, I'm going to duplicate this helicopter like multiple times. So select this, and I will just select the hierarchy, and let's put it in the folder first, and we'll also put the character in the folder. Select hierarchy and put it in the folder, and camera to the camera. I'll call it Apache, and select this one, select the hierarchy, and copy, paste. So we have second helicopter, and I'll just move it this side. Since we don't have keys here on the X and the Z, we don't need to worry about that, like moving the helicopter anytime. I'll keep it here, and now if I check, these both are moving in the same speed. I just want to keep it just behind this first helicopter, so I'll just select this key, both the keys, and just drag them down, so it will be like just little behind this first helicopter, and we're also not intersecting the blades with that helicopter, so it's going to be technically right as well. Something like that, but it's coming too late. So I can do one thing. I'll just select this and just move a bit early, somewhere around here, so that both the helicopters will be in the frame almost in the same time. And then we can duplicate it like multiple times. First I'll keep this 2 for now, and we can duplicate it later. First we'll set the lighting, and for the lighting I'll do the I'll just use the skylight. So go to the skylight and view it from the lighting view. Now the light is like from this angle, screen right to screen left, and we definitely want something from behind, because in reference we see everything silhouetted. That means light is coming from backside, so we'll keep that angle using the sky texture. I'll go to these settings, and I'll just simply play with the rotation. So understanding the light from this point, like without any fog, it's really difficult that we don't see the source or sun point. So I'll just bring in the asset that I have, like the fog box. Fog here, go to the 3D view. So whenever you get this kind of issue, like you are not visible anything, just press N and let make this area bigger, like maybe 10,000, and this is going to fix it. So we don't see anything because the fog values are too tight, like too dense. I'll make the relation, make the standard so I can tweak it. I'll go to the shaders and make the shaders like the intensity. I'll make it 0.01. And we did that thing like when it's not visible from the viewport, we did the like we changed the depth or the scale of the scene. We need to do the same thing for the camera as well, because camera is now seeing only 1000 meters. So go to the camera and select it, and just end value we should keep it around 10,000, so it's around 10 kilometers. And now I can play with the fog. So I'll keep the values 0.9, and since light is lit from all the angles, we are seeing this extremely bright thing. Let's play with the light. Okay, I should have played with the elevation first. So this is the first step. We are matching something, like we're already making it silhouetted, like the helicopter and the character, and I think we're getting close. Now I will just play with the intensity. We are not going to use the fog in the shot because this is like pretty straightforward shot, and I can use comp techniques to add some fog. We will be dealing with two layers. One is character and second is helicopters. We don't need the fog layer for the shot. Okay, I think light is coming from backside. We don't want fog anymore. I'll delete this from this shot. So this kind of light is pretty okay. Now we are not reading any rim light on the character, like we should read some like soft halo or some kind of rim light on the character. But since it's like the skylight and it's not using that angle, we can fake it. I'll just simply grab one more light, maybe a point light. I'll use it. I'll just put it in this angle. We just like cheating something there with the light, and I will make the values like maybe high, maybe even high. Okay, we're reading some light there already on the edge, and we'll make it warmer because it's like sunsetty in the reference, so we will keep like that. Okay, I want something like this kind of rim light is happening just because of this point light we added. Now I don't want that light affected on this helicopter, so we can just link the light to that only character. So linking light is very easy. Just select that light, go to this option and go to the shading, light linking and new, and select the folder that you have. Like in this case I'm going to use this light only on the Kong, so I'll select that folder, and now my light is only affecting to this Kong, not on the helicopters. So this is really useful when you like do or you want to add some specific light to the specific object. This is really fun. So I think everything is almost set. We need to do one more thing. Now if I take a close look at the helicopters, let's denoise it first. From this angle the helicopters are lit too much. They're catching the light from top. We don't want that. I want just light from the front, so this will be more silhouetted. So I'll just add a blocker. I'll just create like one more folder and call it BG, and I can just put some blockers here. So blocking is like just blocking the light. I'll use a cube, or you can just any like mesh, make it big enough, and then go to edit. I'll just select this face because light is coming from this direction, right? So we'll delete this face, and we're already seeing the scene, and I'll keep it somewhat like this. And I'll just apply like anything to this, a black shader maybe, and roughness I'll kill it. I don't want any roughness. Now it's coming in the camera, so we'll just move it a bit further away, and this cube is visible, like it's very difficult to work. I'll just go to this visibility and make it bounce so we don't see it, and we have this blocker now. That's why we are not reading much of light from the top. If I don't have it, like just delete it, and then we see that helicopters are a bit lit, so we can use that as a blocker now. So this is giving nice, some kind of blocking the light, and everything is silhouetted. We're just reading that rim lights on the helicopter, and that is what we want in this shot to make it look like a reference shot. Okay, and also I think I need to add some ground there because we don't have any ground, so maybe light is coming from bottom as well. So let's go to the asset library that I have, and I can simply bring any ground like mountains and just any rough model just to hide the block the light from bottom. But I'm not using any simple plane because this object has some material and that can cast some bounce light. So assuming that I'm using this, but it's not going to be visible, so it's okay. Like you can just use a simple plane if you don't have any ground object. This is going to be BG and this is not visible, and I'll also just keep it like that. So my shot is somewhat like this. Let's go to the timeline. So it's already giving some vibe of that reference shot. I think this is going to work in comp. So I will quickly show how I render the shot. First, I'll keep the Kong in one folder and the Apache like the FG is in one folder. Camera is separate, of course, the light is separate, and the background. So background is not visible, so I'm not going to render the background. It's going to be like that only, and just two renders I want. One is helicopters and one is Kong. So I'll go to this compositor tab and delete everything and just maximize it. And delete this as well. And I'll use file output. So I'm going to use some multiple passes here. Not too much because I'm not going to break any pass. This is going to be really straightforward comp. I will use position normal that I'm going to use all the time. Like if I need, I can use them. And then direct diffuse I can use because if I want to add some I want to give some details in the characters, I can use that. And then I'll keep rest of the stuff as is. Then this, and also want the ambient occlusion just for the breakdowns. So these are the passes I need. And then press N, selected this file output, and just give the path wherever you want render. I will just simply just use it on desktop for now. Let's call it Kong and select accept and just give the name. First I'm going to render Kong layer, so I'm going to use that, and I'm going to render everything in EXR, so I'm going to keep that, and then collect this image to image. And then we don't have anything because we need to create some more naming here. I'll just add hitting this plus and just make it bigger, and also this one too. And I'm going to rename these all the tabs just like this. So I did this name like all whatever you are using, I'm just using the same name here. So alpha go to alpha and position go to position. Likewise, we just connect all these links, all these connections. And ambient occlusion is missing, so I'll just add that too. I'll just call it AO, and this will go here. Okay, and that's it. We just hit render and then we can just render it. And once the character is rendered, I will just change the path and I'll give helicopter path here. And then I'm going to render the helicopter. Just I will hide it and then turn on this one and render the helicopter there. So these are the basic render techniques that I use. I mean, these are really basic, not really fancy thing or not really technical stuff. I know which things are useful in comp, so that according to that I just rendered the things. And there are a couple of things, like I kept the motion blur on because the blades are rotating, so I'm keeping the motion. I need motion blur, so I'm keeping it on. We're not disabling it. And color space, I'm going to use SCCG. So for just turn this on and see, we can get some more better picture. I'll keep this 2.0 or you can keep 1.3 as well. And viewing display, I'll keep it sRGB. And this one I'm going to keep it SCCG. Works. Sorry. SCCG and say apply. This is 5.0 by the way, Blender, and this now supports the SCCG. And sequencer also I'm going to keep it 2.0. So these are the color settings I mostly use. And if you think this is too dark, you can just play with the gamma and exposure here as well. I'll make it 1.25, so we get some nice more bleed in the color. And also exposure I can keep it 1.2 or something like that. If it is too hot, I can just make it 0, and let's keep it that way and make it 1.5 gamma, and then I can just render the shot. And I already showed this I think, but I'll show it one more time. The project setting, I'm going to use the resolution 2048 into 900, just the cinematic crop, and 24 is the FPS I kept, and the frame range total 300 frames I'm going to use. So now jump into Nuke and start the compositing. Let's open the Nuke and bring in the renders that we have and set the project first. Press S in the node graph and I'll just use the frames that we used in Blender, 24 fps, and I'm going to use the same resolution. And then the color space is OCIO 1.2. I'll bring in the shuffle node and just use image pass here, that is the helicopters, and I'll do the same thing for the Kong. So we have Kong here. This is not visible because this is mostly silhouetted and we don't see anything yet. And if I go frame 200, we can now see the alpha and also the alpha for the helicopters. And as I said, for the helicopters I use like 2 more extra helicopters just to match the reference. Like there are like 4 helicopters in total and then 1 Kong character. First thing, I will simply ignore these choppers first. I'll just keep it here and let's start doing some background work. Since we don't have any background, this character looks very weird or dark. First I will bring in the sky texture that I have. I have this sky texture, this image. This is 4K and I downloaded it from Pexels. This is free one. I'll share the link for this one, and however I'm giving the work file so you can find it in my work file as well. By default, when you bring in the JPG image, it's set to matte paint, so we need to make it RGBA, color space, output, and make it RGBA, and just make it like default and hit that auto alpha on, so we have that alpha in the background. First I'll just reformat it, and there is no camera movement or just camera is very static. I'll just keep it as is, like no much of like we don't need to add it on the card or something, just basic, just as static for frame. And just I'll apply it with the character and see how it looks. This looks strange with that silhouetted character and the very contrasted background. We need to do like, we need to match it with the reference we have. So I'm not going to like do grading very blindly. I will use that reference, I will use that shot as a reference and do the grading work, which is going to be easy. So I have this reference here from the movie. I'm going to use this as a color grade reference. I'll just use a frame hold and also reformat and use any one frame that is, yeah, this frame should okay, because we're going to match something like this. When we'll try to get close to this and see how that looks. If you want to compare it with the shot, like you don't have to do 1 2 all the time, you want to keep both at the same time. So select this one and select this as well, like pressing 2, and then go to the viewport and select wipe. So you have this wipe option here and you can just make like a comparison here. And I will use the grade node and I'll just play with the grade. Take this, I don't want this like this, I just want to see my shot. So for the grading, I will just play with the values, like I will bring up the green values bit like around 1.3, and blue values I want to take down the blues from the shot. I'll just reduce a bit, somewhat like that. It's getting some bit warmer. So that's what the grade is helping here. Like it was too bluish or like too magenta, so we're making it bit greenish and warmer. And I think we need to add sun there because in the reference we have a big sun, so we'll try to create that. I'll simply take a constant and I'll play with the values. Like first thing, I'll make it RGBA. I want alpha in that, so I'm keeping it RGBA, and let's make it like, let's bring the white values and make it yellow, something like that. I'll give the values like super high or maybe 10, and yeah, give it 1 in the alpha and just merge it on the background. Now everything will get yellow, we don't want that, and we'll use a merge node and make it mask and use a roto node. So whenever you want to draw a circle in Nuke, you can see that you can just draw and it will be not exact circle. Like if you want to get exact circle, just delete it and select this option again and press shift and draw it, and it won't be any different shape, it will be like a proper circle or the proper ellipse. And I'll bring it here in the center, something like what we see in the reference, and then I will just use that as mask, so we see it like this. Now we're getting close to the reference, I guess. Yeah, but a few things we need to do. I'll simply do some grading to like make it a bit brighter. I will use this grade node again to that constant and make the values like 2, and maybe I'll just bring down the green values and also some blues, something like that. And I will increase the white point. I want to make it a bit whiter because we don't see it too yellow, somewhat like that. And I think I can just take down the gamma a bit. And next thing, I will just add edge blur. a bit of edge blur because it's too sharp. I can increase it, and then I can use a blur node and make it like super bloom, like something like that, like 200 or something. And then I will just reduce the mix values. I just want to keep slight bloom around the sun values here, like something is bleeding like in the atmosphere, something like that. I want to increase the scale of this sky. It looks a bit tight, so I'll use a transform node and I'll simply make it a bit bigger, 1.1 something like that, and I think this is fine. And I will do one more thing. I want to add more bloom, so I'll just take it up, and just for this is fine, I guess. So I'll just connect it here and use a blur node, and this time I'm going to use like 700 in the vertical values, and height I will just use 400, and I'll also make it a bit brighter, somewhat like that. And operation values I'll keep it just over and reduce the values like very less. So again it's like very maybe 0.04 or 0.04. Yeah, so we get that bleeding again in the shot. It's like you can do it here as well, but I just want to do it here in the background. Anything is fine. So this is the sky, and this is the Kong, and this is what it looks like now. Next thing, I want to add some black levels. Like it's too pitch dark. I don't want that. I want to make it bit, something like we have some like black lifts. I'll bring it down. I can do like I can just use unpremult and premult, and simply add a grade node and do the like black lift. But we'll try something different here. Let's delete it. And first thing, I will add the OCR color space. I'm going to use these settings. So I just use this for all my CG renders whenever I use the OCR settings. I can now simply take a merge node, and for the black lips I'm going to do something different here. Like most of the time I use this when I CG comp, and I'll just connect it to the background. So this is the background without character, and now we just added it on top of that. Now we don't see because of course we are just reading the background now, so I'll make it blurry, like super blurry, and it's too like blown up, so I'll just use the clamp, and then I'll use this as average, and I'll keep it like very less. So when reading that nice bloom thing like on the character body, and now it's getting too out of the box, let's use it like yeah, use this P option, so we are not reading too much of extra bounding box there. And also I can play with the grade. Like I can simply add a grade, and like if you think it's too blue, I can increase the values. Like I can make it bit red and reduce like some blues. And let's check with the reference. Yeah, I think it's coming red. In reference we see more reddish, so we can make it more red, like make, yeah, something like that. So more red means it's getting close to the like reference. Now I can use the wipe, and I can check it with the reference we have. Like it's getting too blown out, so I'll reduce the average values. I can keep it less, so just to get close to the character like in the reference. And then like if it's check the reference has like more darker in the, like as it goes to the bottom it has more darker, and then just in the center it has more bloom, so we can create that as well. For that I can just grab it down, and I can do like add that thing one more time here. Just bring it here, make some more space. I'll blur it just like that. Now if I see it's like affecting everything, I just want to affect it only in the edges, so I'll just take a dot and connect it to the CG and hide it. We don't want that connection everywhere like visible. Now we have this alpha. I'll take edge detect node. I'll just make it alpha, so we just having the edges now, and I can play with the erode size. Like if I make it bigger, we'll get more edge, like broader edge, and I can blur it, so we have like softer edges, like softer lines, and I can simply mask it. So now my bloom thing happening only on the edges, not the entire thing. And it's too much of course, then we'll do it average, and it will be less, and then I can simply connect it to the character again. Like we don't want everywhere, we'll just connect it, like we'll mask it to the character. It's not going outside. Like if I don't do this masking, we'll see that we're getting some bloom on the outside, so we don't want that. We're just doing it like only on the character. And now like if you want to make it more broader, I can just simply play with the blur values, and like I can also make it in the height, something like that, so we're getting the variation on the character on the black levels, like getting some bloom inside. Since we don't want it everywhere, I can just simply take a mask one more time on the masking here on this merge mask and do the mask again, and then simply add a roto. Now let's say I want only here on the head area, and just near to this character arms, somewhere around there, and I want to reduce it. I can simply reduce the opacity in the mask, so we get that nice like blooming thing, and then I can simply blur it, and then I can increase it here, so we have more control here, like we are getting some more variation in the character on the character body. If I see it from this, we are getting some like more close to the reference we have. And one more thing, the background is looking, I mean, if I check the reference, the background is defocused as well as this like not detailed. We just see some color variation, so we can mimic that by like little cheat. I'll simply use a blur node, and I will use the values like 500 in width, so it will be stretchy, and we don't want that like very streaky. So I'll use around, like in height values, I'll use around 50, so we get some nice like variation. You can just play with these values. I can keep it like this as well, and this is going to be okay, I guess, because we have some nice variation in the sky. We don't read that very crisp clouds. So this is the basic of like doing the grade. I'm not like trying to go much deeper and do any like big CG thing, just simply adding some grading and making the shot look like the reference. Next step is adding the helicopters. Let's bring in them as well and merge them on the main shot. And now these are too dark again. Now I can play the same thing for this, like I can use the background bloom and apply on to that, or I can simply do one more thing. I have the light wrap node. This is the Nuke default node. I will make the intensity 2, so it's already bleeding inside, and diffuse, like I will make it super high, and I'll keep it 1, so make it less. So we can use this method as well, so get some like diffusion in the on the FG object. I think this is too much. I'll just keep it off, and I'll try the same method that we tried for this as well. So I'll merge it on, and I'll use this blur node we already used. I'll use this mask to the helicopters, and then I'll keep it on average. It will be very less, so we have that like blacks lifted, but it's not as lifted as the background character because we want some like depth, right? So that's why I'm keeping it like that, like the values are a little less than the character here. And then you can also animate it, like if I go to the frame 80, they should be super dark, and I'll just keep here, like I'll just keep these values, and around when the character like they go into the depth, like in deep, I'll just make it bit more, so we feel that characters so the helicopters are moving away from the camera and they're getting like buried into the haze of that, like almost the same depth of that character. So these are like comp things, like you don't get exact things from the CG all the time. You need to do a lot of like depth, depth making and creating that your own depth by playing with the values, and this is how compositing works. And there is one more big difference our reference has is the heat haze. Like now our shot is like very clear. We got the colors like in place with the reference, but we don't have that like heat hazing or lensing thing happening. So for the heat haze, I have a node. This is a free plugin from Nukepedia or the Nuke Survival Kit. I'm not sure, but I'm going to share that node in the file, so you can grab it from there. Let's update it, and I'll call it heat. Oh, so this node, let's apply it to the checkerboard first and see what this does. So just apply to the image to the checkerboard and play it. So this is like heat haze, like whenever you see some heat, we see that heat distortion kind of thing. So this is what this actually node helps to create, and we can add this to the shot and see how that looks. Let's apply it. This is quite heavy because this is doing some distortion thing, so we'll just play a few frames. Okay, so the default values are too strong but looking good at the same time, but we can do some changes and make them slow as well. Just play with the settings. So like they are quite heavy, so don't do it on the shot. Just take a checkerboard and like make the values bigger, so you just get the more texture, like bigger texture, and then play with the values. Like if I reduce this and play it, this is like quite smaller, and then I can just simply play with the wind and all the effect, and then like spend some time and see how that looks. So I spent some time and like came to this point where I took three heat distortion nodes. Let's apply to this character checkerboard and see. So this is something like this. I mean, I just played with the values, some roto masking to the different areas, and just to match with the reference, and this is how it looks. So this kind of heat is I ended up with, and then I just did the lensing thing. Like I took a grade node and like I reduced the overall exposure, and just vignetting, like just take a roto, invert it, and add a blur node, make it bigger, something like that, and then adding grain. I'm just using a cinematic style grain here, like very less values, just seeing the reference like again. So whenever you have a reference, just take a look and see how that looks, and you can just try go closer there and use right reformat in the end. And also I want to add a camera shake, like just take this guy here and use a camera shake. Like my shot is too static, right? There is no camera movement we have in Blender, so we can add that like slide camera shake in Nuke. So simply default camera shake it look like this, but I'm going to tweak some default values. I will make it 20, so up and down will be more, and the frequency is 0.21 I'm going to keep. So let's play it. Yeah, something like that, before grain of course, and the vignette. And then I'm going to render it and check how it looks, and then make some more changes, like finalizing. Spent some time and cleaned up my file, and like did some more integration stuff, seeing the reference again. So this is my reference here, and this is my comp output. So it's like almost the same. Like we of course have different models because these models are cheap and free, but yeah, this is what we can do with the free models. And let's check what I did. Like we already saw this thing in the background. Just yeah, I did something like these. Let's turn off these two grades. The background is too brown again. I just made some bit changes, like adding some bloom and all, just normal grading to some beautification kind of thing we can say. And then I added that heat is in the background, like a bit separate heat is, so our sun has like a different motion in his like edges, so it's not like very static sun. And like this area is getting too bright. I want to add some darkness in the bottom area, because if I take a look in the reference, our bottom is bit less bright than the upside area, like upper frame. So mimic that, I just took a roto and like did a grading there just to get that darkness around the edges. And then I have added Kong, which we already saw, like adding this kind of bloom and all. And there is like one more thing I did, like I did this ZT focus. So values are like really less. If I go to the frame 200, we're getting like I made the Godzilla a bit out of focus. Let's see it from here. So around this frame he's like bit out of focus, like values are 11, and around frame 50 he's in more focus before the helicopter arrives in the frame. And after that, there is one more important thing. I took this action VFX element, this smoke plumes, and added it on the shot on the both the sides, left and right, just to get that framing. This is not in the movie because the war is yet to start, and I just wanted to add that, give some like more beautification to the frame. And then of course we saw these helicopters, and I added some grade to the helicopters, like just slight grading to them to get some more hazy around that. And I just did the pre-comp because it's too heavy for the heat is. It was not able to, like I wasn't able to view it. And then lensing stuff I show, and camera shake and all, and that's the final comp. I hope you guys have learned something new today. I'm going to share all the new file and the renders for the shot, and you can also practice this one. And if you have any doubts, please let me know in the comments, and you can also reach me on Instagram. And see you in the next video. Thank you.